Hey friends, Ash here with Gents. Hope you're doing really well. Today, we're gonna be taking a look at this one. Yves Saint Laurent Y Le Parfum, the newest in the Y line. Lots of you out there are waiting for this one with bated breath, really hoping that this is going to be the next big monstrous release that everybody wants to get their hands on. Of course, this one is following up on Y Eau de Toilette, Eau de Parfum, and Y Live, or Y Live. And then we also have Y Eau Fraiche, which is the summer version and kind of just sits off on its own outside of the Y hierarchy for a lot of people. They're like, oh, Y Eau Fraiche, cool, you can just hang out over there. I'm gonna go ahead and unbox this fragrance for you. I'm gonna show you how it looks, and then I'm gonna spray it on, and we're gonna see how this one smells together for the first time, my first impression. So let's jump into it. This one I ordered from Italy, so it took a while to get to me. Don't know exactly when this is going to release in the US. Hopefully though, very soon. I would expect you're gonna see it pop up at your typical retailers very soon. Macy's, Sephora, all those guys. Let's go ahead and open this up and take a look at it. So here is a quick look at the box before I go ahead and open it up and pull the fragrance out. Nothing doing on the sides. Got your ingredients on the back there. And there's a look at the bottom with the batch code. And that batch code is 38TN01C. So there it is, Yves Saint Laurent Y Le Parfum, just completely blacked out, as you can see. Actually looks really cool. Got the YSL logo on top of the cap and your sticker on the bottom. Now, Y Eau de Parfum is known as being one of just the biggest compliment pulling fragrances in the designer game right now. Extremely versatile. You can wear it pretty much anywhere. I really personally love Y Eau de Parfum. I think it's a great release for, again, just a fantastic dumb reach fragrance. Y Live takes that Y DNA, adds a little bit of a slight Invictus sort of touch to it, that bit of sweetness in there. Y Eau de Toilette, perfect for the office, and Y Eau Fraiche, great for warm weather. So where is this one going to fall? And is this going to be redundant? Those are a couple of the things that I'm going to be looking for here. Let's go ahead and spray it on. There we go. A few good sprays. Let it settle for just a second. Don't want to get a big blast of alcohol or anything. So Y Le Parfum here in the opening doesn't come across quite as sweet to me as Y Eau de Parfum does. I actually sprayed Y Eau de Parfum right over here so I could do a direct comparison. Y Le Parfum actually has a little more focus on the sage here initially, and the sage is coming across, again, less sweet, slightly more herbal, the way that it comes across. You still have that ginger here, you've got apple and grapefruit as well in the opening of Le Parfum. So you do have that sparkle, that sort of effervescence to the fragrance where it really leaps off your skin and is very appealing. There is a bit of sweetness here, though, like I said, not as much in Y Eau de Parfum. The grapefruit is on equal footing with the apple. So for me, I'm not really getting more grapefruit and less apple, or more apple and less grapefruit. They're kind of right there together with the ginger. Now, when you very first spray Le Parfum on, it does have this little touch of bubblegum sort of sweetness when you very first spray it on. So if you spray it, smell it right away, you'll get that. And that's actually a little more prominent than what you're gonna find in Y Eau de Parfum. It actually may be slightly closer in terms of that bubblegummy sweetness immediately to something like Y Live. But that does fade pretty quickly. I mean, after just a few minutes on my skin, I can go back and smell where I sprayed Le Parfum, and that sweetness is already kind of stepping back a little bit as the sage comes up. Now, in doing a direct side-by-side comparison, I do find Y Eau de Parfum to be more of that, what would you call it? Like dryer sheet or laundry detergent sort of clean. Y Le Parfum doesn't have as much of that aspect to it off my skin. You might actually think that it would have more of that because it has aldehydes in the top of the fragrance, but it really doesn't. The aldehydes here are more so just making it come across a little more poppy in the opening. You know, the ginger and the fruit, and then that little bit of naldehydic touch, giving it a slight, as like a slight airiness to the fragrance. Not that it comes across weak in the opening, it just gives it this sort of like a little airy boost. Now between the two, Le Parfum and Eau de Parfum, Eau de Parfum has more of an attention-grabbing opening to me, just based off this initial first impression. That's because the Eau de Parfum does have a little more of a sweet push to it. It's not super sweet. Why Live, I think, is the sweetest of the bunch here, but more so than Le Parfum does. And so I think it has a little more of an attention-grabbing nature in the opening. What I'm gonna do though, is let these continue to dry down. I'm gonna cut and come back for you. It'll be like 10 seconds, but I'm gonna spend some time with this one and then formulate thoughts as it dries down and then wrap this first impression up. I'll also ask my wife what she thinks in the comparison between Eau de Parfum and Le Parfum. So I'll be right back with that.
Later that same evening.
So I'm back. Like I said, magic of editing. It seems like no time has passed at all. I've let this one dry down. I've had my wife smell Le Parfum, and I've also had her compare it to Eau de Parfum, and I've gathered my thoughts a little bit. First off, what my wife had to say. Initially, very first smell, she said, oh, I think I barely like Eau de Parfum a little bit more. And then she said, well, wait a second, let me smell them again. And then she checked them out and checked them out again. And then after it was all said and done, she said, I think I like them both the same. So yeah, really anticlimactic, but that's actually a really good thing for Le Parfum, because the Eau de Parfum of Y, like I said earlier, is one of the biggest compliment pulling fragrances out there as far as designer fragrances go. And lots of guys own this fragrance just because of that, and also its versatility. So overall, my wife thought that this one smelled really, really good, on par with Y Eau de Parfum. Bottle is, though, a fingerprint magnet. Now, as far as my wife's thoughts go, I completely agree with what she said, actually. She said Y Eau de Parfum to her smelled sweeter, and I agree completely. She said Y Le Parfum was a little bit warmer, and again, I agree completely. She also said that she thinks the two fragrances are about 50% similar, and I agree with that for the most part. You can tell that Y Le Parfum is a Y fragrance. It's got that DNA, so when you smell it, you're like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. I don't think really that it's overly redundant to own both of these. I think that there are enough differences here that you can own both of these and they don't overlap too much. So Y Le Parfum is coming across slightly more mature, a little bit more grown up. And that's because it doesn't have the sweetness in Y Eau de Parfum. And then Y Live, like I mentioned earlier, is the sweetest of the three. So at least my initial reaction here is that Y Live is the sweetest, followed up by Y Eau de Parfum, and then finally Y Le Parfum. Another thing with Y Le Parfum is the lavender. The lavender actually comes out quite a bit as it dries down. It becomes much more noticeable. Initially, I mentioned the sage, and I did pick up more of that in the opening. And the sage here, a little bit, very slightly more herbal than in Y Eau de Parfum. But as it dries down, the lavender in Y Le Parfum comes out quite a bit. You have this very nice warmth in Y Le Parfum, which is going to be coming from the tonka and the olibanum in the base. There's cedar in there as well, giving you a modern woodsy base, but the cedar actually is not coming out as much to me as the olibanum and the tonka are. There's also patchouli in Y Le Parfum, but I've got to tell you, as of right now, not really picking up too much of that. Whereas Y Eau de Parfum focuses more on amberwood and vetiver as it dries down, this one is focusing more on tonka and olibanum. And I've got to tell you guys something, and I don't say this lightly, and I don't say this trying to be like, oh, hype, 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 hype. You get what I'm saying. But I actually like, just first impression, Y Le Parfum a little bit more than Y Eau de Parfum. The changes are not massive between the two. Again, the changes are enough that I don't think they're redundant, but they're not massive. You know, these are not two flankers where you're like, oh, what? These aren't even similar at all. No, you can definitely see that these are, and smell, that these are Y flankers. But the added maturity, the tempering of the sweetness a little bit, the added lavender, the focus on the warmth in Y Le Parfum, I actually like that more than Y Eau de Parfum. Again, this is just a first impression. I've not been able to wear this out and about. I've not been able to wear this in different situations. I've not been able to wear this from opening to dry down over and over to kind of pick up on all these different nuances and become more familiar with the scent, but just first impression. As it's dried down, I like it more. Now this is gonna be a touchy subject, and people that are fans of the Y line are gonna dig their trenches and they're gonna be like, no, I'm team Y Eau de Parfum. But I really like this. The very initial opening wasn't that sure. If you caught me within the first 10, 15 minutes of wearing this one, probably would have told you that I would have slotted below the Eau de Parfum, maybe below Y Live also. The opening didn't really blow me away. It wasn't bad, just the first time I smelled it, I was maybe hoping for something more, I don't know. But as it's dried down, it is really nice. It retains that versatility of the Eau de Parfum. So this one you can wear just about anywhere. People are gonna like it. There's nothing here offensive whatsoever, but it just smells better to me. And I know that's a simplistic way to break it down, but sometimes that's really all that matters. Does something smell nicer to you? Yes or no? Obviously, I can't tell you guys about the performance here. First time I've sprayed it on, and it's still going on my skin a few hours later, so can't really tell you anything about performance. You know, when it starts to peter out, I can still smell it pretty well right now. Seems like it should be just as good as the Eau de Parfum or Y Live are. This is another case of the fragrance brand telling you a lot just through the bottle. With this all blacked out bottle, they're essentially telling you that this is the Y to pick up if you want something good for an evening out, good for a formal situation, good for a situation where you're trying to kind of dress yourself up a little bit. But like I just said, it retains that versatility of the other Y fragrances as well. And as I told you before, my wife likes that one just as much as Y Eau de Parfum, and that is a huge win for me because she's a big fan of this. So there we go, guys. Y Le Parfum, first impressions. Hopefully it comes out in the US very soon. I don't suggest that you order it from Italy or overseas because you're gonna pay extra money for shipping. It's gonna take forever to get here. And at this point, it should be coming out, I would assume, in the near future in the US. So hopefully we can get our hands on it a little bit easier, or you guys can. All right, guys, it's gonna do it for me. Let me know in the comments below, which is your favorite fragrance in the Y lineup, and let me know if you're anticipating this one. I really was, and thankfully, I'm so pumped not to be let down. After the scent Pure Accord, I'm so pumped not to be let down. All right, that's gonna do it for me. Stay safe out there. I'll see you guys tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.